Hail comic book fans, today we are talking about The Embrace issue 1. Now if you're into stories, if you like characters with their styles like Spawn, The Darkness, Haunt, and The Crow, you're really going to like this story for many different aspects. These three in particular: a heart of a story, the heartbreak of a story, the laughter and the charisma of a story, and the heroic superhero aspect of the story as well. And not many stories are able to capture all three perfectly. And I feel like this story, The Embrace, it gets it 10 out of 10. If it is right there, it's a magnificent blend of all three of these things. And the story starts off with this father. Now this father he's traumatized. His entire life fell apart because his son died. His son was murdered, and the town looks at him as a coward, and they look at him a certain way because he survived but his son didn't. And he has barely slept. This man's entire life has been devoted to trying to find who did this to his son. And the police understand this man's pain, or at least they try to anyway. And it's a really dark way to start a story. It's the heartfelt way to start a story, and it really leaves the reader maybe placing themselves in the shoes of what this man is going through, and at least try to imagine the pain that this man is going through and why his family just fell apart the way it did because of somebody else's stupidity. And this man, he really has nothing else to live for, or that's what he thinks, and he really just wants his son back. This man's entire life, his anchor to life was his son. And you know, as a reader, as a person that wants kids one day, this is something that really hits with me, and it should really hit with fathers or just parents in general. And with the story, this man is about to take his own life right in front of his son's grave. He has nothing else to live for. The case has been closed. They're not going to find him until his son reappears in front of him. And just the joy this man gets of seeing his son again is something that I never felt in a story before, especially a comic book, that you can feel his happiness coming out from the comic book itself. It's so well captured. And the joy side of the story really comes from the son, right? Because he's a kid, and one thing I like about this story is that it really doesn't give you the full story on how he was able to come back, right? They hint at it, they give you a little something to go off of. A woman gave him the son the ability to come back, and when he does, he lets his father know what happened, what he remembers from his point of view. And that's when the awesome part of the story really kicks in, because the father and son fuse together and make this awesome suit. And this is a very classic look to a suit, right? It's very 90s, but it's new. It's a classic but new style for a superhero character. You really get the inspiration from, I would say, definitely Haunt and Darkness, but it has something new to it. The style of it and the symbol is very simple, it's very classic. But with the father and son now together, and now they are this new entity, the father and son, they now have the ability to try to find out for themselves what happened and who killed his son in the first place. And another thing I like about this story is the art. The art in this story really reflects the story, and it's, to me, in my opinion anyway, it's really cartoonish, like early 2000s cartoonish. Those darker vibes, it really works well with this story. I feel like this could easily be animated into a cartoon just because of how the art portrays the story and the characters themselves. And with the story, we go into more of a darker tone, right? Because the father, now he has the ability to, put out his anger on whoever did this to his son. And it's a very unique situation, right? Because with characters like the Haunt, you have two brothers. One is good, one is baddish, depending on what you enjoy about that story, but this is a father and son. So the father can't really go as hard as he probably would like to on these bad guys because he's still in the presence of his son. So they have to operate like superheroes, more anti-hero-ish because they are still brutal, but not the blood and grotesque and the gore that the father would probably pull off it by himself. And that's when we see everything that this man sees that they are interrogating, and it shows us some of the Embrace's power and what he can really do. And that's what I like about this story. It really shows you what they can do when they are together, when the father and the son is together. What can their powers really accomplish? And the writing in this story is so smooth. It's honestly some of the best writing that I've read in a comic book, because the conversations between the father and the son it's so natural, right? Like, it's something that you can really see happening. And they're so awesome together. And when they talk, and even when they get the bad guys and the son is talking about, how like we're like Spider-Man, and he references other characters and that such, and how the conversations even between the father and the police, and just the conversations that the characters have between themselves, is some of the most unique and some of the most memorable writing. I think that's the word. It's memorable. Some of the most memorable writing. You will remember the conversations and the talks that happened in this story. It's something, well, for me, that it will stick with you even after you're done reading the story. The chemistry that the writing is able to convey between the characters, it's so on point. And between that and the art, they do such a good job. You don't miss a beat between the two. And I can't wait for issue 2 to be able to do a review and read that one, because this is definitely one of those stories and one of those characters that's on my top shelf when it comes to who's your favorite character, or what's your favorite story, or what's your favorite first issue. It's definitely this one. Well, that's all I have for this video when it comes to the Embrace. I mean, honestly, I could go on about this story and this character. It's one of the more unique stories out there, and I like that after the story we get a classic comic book sneak peek at what is to come, between something else lurking in the shadows, right? You have your Venom and your Carnage, you have your Flash and your Reverse Flash, and you have the Embrace and this thing that is in existence, this thing that they are going to have to deal with in the future, which is going to be really interesting, right? Because in other stories you don't really have a father and son involved. There's a child involved in this, and he plays a major part. So it's like, how are you going to show that story with this kid, and is he going to be able to do it? Is he going to be able to stick with his father and take down this bad guy? Because now they're just flat out superheroes at this point, which is awesome. And the art in here that is shown is magnificent. Everything went well with this book. Everything that was supposed to go right went right with this book. If you haven't gotten the Embrace, get the Embrace. If you need to go back and issue 2 I believe is out, or it's in the middle of coming out, get the Embrace too. This is one of those stories, right? This is one of those events that you can't afford to miss out on. That's why I'm doing this video. So for any reason you can't get the book, watch this video. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching.